I just bought this Renault Clio 3RS 197 and it's my first car. If you watched my previous video, you'll know that I always wanted my first car to be kinda special. But this one is a little bit too special. It has special air induction entry like this and this. Special aerodynamics inspired from a golf ball.
Tiny pocket of turbulence.
It has special Baja mode. It has special seat cooling system.
Nice.
And some few other special parts that you can check in the previous video. Also, we all know now that I have zero mechanical knowledge and I intend to work on this car and fix most things alone. It is partly the reason why I bought this car in this special state. And today is the day where we're going to start this adventure and try to restore this Clio 3RS to its glory. But before we start tackling the repairs, I want to share with you some other special features that I found in this car. The passenger door doesn't have a satisfying closing sound to it, which means it's probably not being closed properly. I'll have to investigate. The AC is not working properly and it's blowing hot air. Hopefully, it just needs a regas and nothing is wrong with the compressor motor. The Clio 3RS has a bad and well-known syndrome that is called kangarooing. And it is due to the map sensor not being stable and well put into its position. As you can see here, this one is not holding its place very well and is probably gonna need some proper fixating. And then we have the exhaust system. I don't know how to put this. Just look at this piece of art. Someone deleted the rear muffler and replaced it with badly welded normal steel pipes. Ah, man. And finally, the car was in a big need of wheel alignment and balancing, since it was pulling to the right aggressively and the steering wheel, well, it wasn't centered at all. So I took it to a wheel specialist garage, and thank God I did. I thought I'd crack this one. A quick tie rod tweak, a bit of alignment, some wheel balance, and voila! But this little Smurf had other plans. Turns out the wheels were bent as a banana. I mean, who knew? And when we got the tires off, it was like a scene from a horror movie. Massive cracks in two of the wheels. I'm talking, how did this car even make it here kind of cracks. So instead of a full wheel swap, which would be the sensible thing to do in this case, we're going the DIY route. A bit of welding, some TLC, and we're back on the road. A bit rough around the edges, but she's driving like a dream. It's not perfect, but it's a temporary fix until I can get my hands on some good wheels. As you know, I live in Morocco, and this country is not a big fan of cold weather. It is a sauna most of the days of the year. So the AC is more of a necessity, not a luxury. First I thought it was just low on gas and a simple refill would do the trick. But nope. Turns out there is a leak in the condenser. It's like a tiny hole, but it's causing a major headache. First reflex, of course, I considered replacing it. But the price tag was a total killer. So I decided to get creative and follow the welding path again. It needed special welding since it is made out of aluminum. Found the proper person to do the job, and here we go. It doesn't look perfect, but it's a quick fix that saves me a bunch of cash. I would say that this amount of money is better spent on more critical and major parts of the car.
Smoke.
After that, I gave the AC a gas refill, and boom, it's working like a champ. Now I can enjoy the cool air without breaking the bank. Only thing is, after using it a little more, it seems like now the air isn't as cold as it should be, which got me thinking that this car is probably in need of replacing the cabin filter, which we'll sort out later. The journey of fixing cars. And so, the journey truly begins. This is the moment where passion meets curiosity, and I take my first real steps into the world of restoration. After weeks of anticipation, the first tools of my new adventure have arrived. Let me show you what I've got. Two sturdy jack stands, a comprehensive toolset, and a floor jack, each one representing a piece of a puzzle, only to bring my little Renault Clio 3RS back to life. Now, I'll be honest, this is my first time ever handling tools like these, and you can tell that I'm already hooked. Just holding them, I'm imagining the possibilities, visualizing every bolt turned, every mount replaced, and every little victory along the way. And here you can see that I already learned my first lesson, and that is always, and I mean always, open your toolset flat on the floor and on the right side up. After a solid session of trial, error, and a little frustration, I managed to organize everything back into its proper place. And with that, it was time to get to work. So, there is one small issue. I don't have a place to work on my car. Right now, we are going to a supermarket parking lot. Today it's Sunday, it's gonna be really tricky. Hopefully, we can find a place where we can work on the car without being too much disturbed and without a lot of external noise. We're gonna see how it turns out. You think it's gonna be empty?
I have zero idea. Hopefully.
I really hope so. Thankfully, we managed to find the perfect spot for some hands-on diagnosis. A huge empty parking lot at a Kidea store. Basically, Morocco's version of IKEA. Since it wasn't officially open yet, the place was a ghost town. No cars, no interruptions. Just me, my tools, and the challenge ahead. And here we go. First task, loosening the wheel bolts. And let me tell you, when I say I have zero experience, I mean it. I was struggling like crazy with this seemingly simple job. But hey, this is Morocco, where help always seems to appear out of nowhere, like a wild Pokemon encounter.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's Clefairy!
Sure enough, someone popped over, got their hands dirty, and showed me the magic of a breaker bar. With that extra leverage, the bolts finally gave in and the car was ready to be lifted.
Yep, seems pretty okay.
So, my aim was to do a quick check if there is any bad ball joints, bad bushings, or bad bearings. And the plan? Well, jack the car, wiggle the tires at 12 and 6 o'clock, then 9 and 3, and listen for any knocking. Except, I made a rookie mistake. The bolts were loose, so the whole exercise was kinda pointless. Classic amateur move, right? At the scorching heat, and I decided to switch tactics. Instead, I went for a visual inspection, wiggling and touching everything related to the suspension and steering, as well as checking for worn out rubber on the joints. But nothing really alarming caught my attention. It felt like a small victory, but I knew the real work was still ahead, which means it was time to dive into the next challenge. So after that experience in the parking lot, it was sure empty and I could work there, but it was crazy hot. It was about 30 degrees and like 60% humidity. And it was literally burning my hands wherever tool I touched. Even the concrete itself was burning. And I found out that in the building where I live, there is a parking lot underground. Yesterday, I just put the car in the -2, and what I noticed is that it's quite empty and there is some fine lighting. So let's go try and work on the car in that parking lot. And here is the car. The only problem is there is quite some echo in this place where it was to be expected. But yeah, I think that the lighting is alright, and hopefully I'm not gonna do a disaster. So here is the piece that I'm gonna attempt to change today. It's called the lower engine mount, and they are prone to fail on those Clio 3 197. I had no way to check if it's actually damaged, so yeah, I'm just gonna send it. But I think it's gonna be a good exercise and hopefully it's not gonna be something complicated. So first I'm gonna start by jacking up the car. Alright, starting with the right passenger side. Found a good jacking point, lined up the floor jack, and up she goes. Now, let me tell you, this part is what makes me anxious the most. Every time I jack the car up, my heart's racing. Maybe it's just me, or does it get better with experience? Who knows? Stay tuned. So far, so good, right? Wrong. Cue our next challenge. The genius underground parking lighting system, aka motion sensor lights. They turn off every 5 minutes. And guess who didn't think about that? So now, I'm doing a 2-step shuffle back and forth to the sensor, just to keep the lights on. But hey, we made it! Passenger side jacked up successfully, and no disasters. On to the left side. Same drill. Finding the jacking point, line up the floor jack, and jack it up. Playing a little tag with the sensor, and left side's up, with no issues. Perfect. I wanna put the floor jack in the middle, just as a support. I just seen a lot of tutorials, and they always advise to keep the floor jack as a support. So this is what I'm gonna do. First, I tried removing the under tray for better access, but then I spotted a solid bar right under the engine. So I thought there is no need to mess with the under tray anymore. This point is perfect. So, I don't know if you can see, but I have to unbolt this bolt right here and this one. So it's those two bolts. Not sure if you've noticed, but the floor jack's on the bracket that I thought was a good jacking point. And it's blocking the dog bone mount. Looks like I'll need to move it to get proper access. But for now, I'll just unbolt these two main bolts and sort the bracket later. This one's an 18mm bolt, and it's not budging, no matter how hard I try. So, time to call in the big guns. Mr. Lubricant Spray. A few quick sprays, let it do its magic, and it's already starting to move. Absolute lifesaver. Next bolt, 21mm, and this one's not playing nice. No matter how much spray I used, it wouldn't budge. So, plan B. Remove the bracket for more clearance. Manage the two left bolts, both 16mm, but the right one? Bent and stubborn, refusing to come out. After way too much trial and error, I realized I could just push the bracket to the side, and boom! Access unlocked. A few more sprays, a little persuasion, and finally, the engine mount came out. Weirdly enough, I was stunned to find out that it was completely worn out. I guess, besides the experience that we're gaining, it's also good to know that all this work will make our little Smurfette a little bit better. And we're back. This is a new day, and today we're gonna be working on the transmission mount. I'm stoked, I can't wait. And also I have some news. I don't know if you can notice, probably not. But this is a new apartment. I just moved in recently, and the good news about this is that, thank God, it has another shared garage. But this new shared garage has a feature, a very important and necessary feature that's gonna make my workflow a little bit better. It's gonna be smoother, it's gonna make my life easier basically. So let's go. Let's check this new shared garage. First, let's pick up my last gen tools bag. It's the latest you've ever seen. Check this. And here it is. This right here is the last gen 3.0 V16 gen. But you know what? It does the job, and that's all I need. So we're in the new garage, and let me show you around. And our little Smurf is parked right here. I was talking about a feature, a very important feature. Come with me, let me show you what I'm talking about. Basically, the new feature is this, and which means I can choose to keep the lights on whenever I can. Wait. So it is supposed to be a straightforward job. Basically what I have to do is to take off the battery, take off the housing surrounding the battery, and the transmission mount should be sitting right under. So it should be a very basic job. It should be straightforward. Take off, replace, put back, and job done. First up, I had to roll the car back for better lighting, because working in the dark? Nah, not today. Then it's on to my favorite anxiety inducer, lifting the car. Left side up, then the right. And guess what? Starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with this. I guess practice makes perfect, right? Now we're gonna support the transmission. We're gonna put the floor jack right under it. And some say it's better to use a block of wood. I don't have one. Sadly, I would have used it for sure. But I'm just gonna work with what I have, and let's secure the transmission. Now, a block of wood would definitely be an ideal here. But I made do. So I jacked it up, supported the transmission for extra safety, because you can never be too careful. Next mission, battery removal. Top cover off first. Next up, the battery terminals. Positive side first, then the negative side. And battery out. Now onto the battery housing. It's all held with 13mm bolts. Took out the front one, unclipped the side housing, and detached the fuse boxes. Thought I was in the clear? Nope. Turns out, there is one more 13mm bolt holding the lower plate, and to get to it, I had to pull out the entire airbox. It's not possible. It's just not possible.
My name is Jeff.
So, off come the little intake hose. Easy snap. Then the air filter cover and the filter itself. Loosened the big metal ring on the intake hose connected to the throttle body, and the airbox is out. Only to discover a horror scene. But hold up, I need to tell you something I noticed earlier. The air intake pipe is missing. This little guy connects directly to the airbox, pulling cold air into the engine. Super important for an NA car. Why is it gone? No clue, but I had to track one down. Found a replacement in the UK thanks to a legend named Anderzej. He packed it up and shipped it to Morocco for me. But after 20 days, still nothing. I reached out, and Anderzej, being the pro he is, told me to wait a bit longer and promised a full refund if it didn't arrive, which I appreciated greatly. Luckily, it showed up in a few days later. in perfect condition. Thanks a lot, Andrzej. By the way, Andrzej owned a company specializing in bespoke hardwood structures and joinery named Country Hardwood, and it is located in Buckinghamshire. So, if you're looking to upgrade your home with some serious style, make sure to contact him. I'll leave the website in the description below. I'm pretty sure that Andrzej will make it his mission to deliver you great quality product, as you witnessed. Alright then, let's get back to our horror movie. Look at this, it looks awful. Awful. Yep, this does look pretty scary. Yet, another clue that our little Smurfette has definitely been in a frontal accident. Looks like the impact broke a little insert on the airbox. Usually, it's supposed to look like this. And you know what that means? Time to go on the hunt for a proper replacement and ditch this mess. But that'll be for another video, so make sure to subscribe and stick around for the journey. Let's get back to our job, and now we have access to this 13mm bolt. We should take it out, and normally we will have the transmission mount right under the here. Let's get to work. Finally got that 13mm bolt out. Removed the lower plate, and just as expected, the transmission mount was sitting right underneath. Next step, involved the 3 16mm holding it in place. One in the middle, 2 on the sides. And that's it. Transmission mount out.
Here's the one that we just took off, the genuine Renault one, and I'm not gonna lie, I can't see any cracks on it or anything. It seems good. And this is the aftermarket one. The Renault one seems to be in pretty good shape. So the verdict is, I'm gonna put back the genuine Renault one. It just seems to me that it is still in good shape, and plus the other one is an aftermarket one. So I'm just gonna put back on the Renault one, and I'm gonna count this as a learning experience. I guess I'm not even mad about it. Let's not forget that we got to know what is wrong with the airbox. I count this as a win. Let's put back the transmission mount, put everything back to its place. This is another challenge yet. Put back the intake hose, and we're gonna test the car again. Hopefully it's gonna be much better.
Now, it's just a matter of doing everything in reverse. Transmission mount back in with the 3 16mm bolts. Then the battery housing, starting with the lower plate. At this point, I tried installing the intake pipe and hose. But no matter how much I stretched it, it just wouldn't reach the hole inside the airbox.
I have no idea how I can do this. Should I leave this open right now? I think it's a bad idea, but for now, I don't know. I'm gonna get on and put the battery back. Let's go.
So out it goes again, until I can find a better temporary fix later. O-ring back in, filter and cover secured, small intake hose reattached, and finally the side housing before dropping the battery back in. Everything was going perfectly smooth until shit.
Well, this is bad. This was not expected. I guess I can change this piece alone, probably, hopefully. But I think I'm gonna call it a day. Yeah. So here we go, yet another day for a new adventure. And we're gonna try and continue where we left it, which means hopefully trying to fix that battery bracket that I broke, and also changing the main engine mount. So yeah, let's see what we can accomplish today, and let's go.
First, gotta yank out the other broken half. Need the full piece to show the dealers what they're gonna be looking for.
Hopefully we can find this behind the bracket, and this should solve our issue. Yep, basically. I'm back again. After trying to find this piece, it was impossible. I've tried like 3 spare parts shop and nothing. Couldn't find it. Maybe I just thought it was a general battery piece, but apparently it's car specific. So yeah, everyone was like, just weld it. That's the best and most efficient way to do it.
And that's exactly what I did. I guess it's becoming the go-to solution with this car.
We're back, and with the welded piece as you saw, so I think it's pretty solid. Well, the little part here is a little bit weak, but this part here is kind of good. It's kind of alright. It's pretty solid. This is something that's gonna get by, you know. It's gonna start the car and keep it running, and there is not a lot of pressure going on this part, so I think we should be alright with just welding it.
Finally, back on track. Bracket in, secured to the battery, and negative side done. Fuse box cover on, and last but not least, the battery cover. But of course, trouble isn't done with me yet.
Guys, I just closed the door and the car just don't wanna open. And look, those are rolling. Maybe because I left it on first gear. I don't know, maybe I did something wrong here.
I fired up the car, stepped out to check the engine bay, and yep, the car just locked itself with the key inside. No spare, no backup plan, just me and my bad luck. Deep breaths, time to figure this out.
The only idea that I have now is to maybe disconnect the battery, but I don't think it's gonna do anything. I don't know. I'll get back to you guys after I find a solution to this. So what I could do is disconnect the battery, as you can see here, after the car shut down, but it was still locked. And as a surprise, I just put back this one cable here and the car just decided to open again. And that's it. That's pretty much it.
Still no clue why the car decided to betray me like that. Gave me a proper scare though. But hey, at least now I know how to handle this kind of situation. As for the spinning wheels, turns out it's just the residual drag from the transmission, like I mentioned in the previous video. So, all good. We keep moving.
And we're back. It's a new day, it's a new dawn, and I'm feeling good. We've installed the transmission mount, and about that, I think there is an issue because now when I'm pulling on first gear, I can feel like a little bit of tension from the transmission mount. I think I'm gonna change it with the one that I bought, but this is not something that we're gonna be doing right now because anyway, I need to change that airbox, and for now I'm still looking for one in the UK so I can get it shipped in Morocco and then change it because it's impossible to find it in Morocco. It's just impossible. But for now what we're gonna do is changing the upper engine mount, the main one, the big one, and for that I'm gonna need a block of wood so I can support the engine with the floor jack. So this is gonna be my mission right now. I'm just gonna go look for a block of wood, come back to the garage and tackle the engine mount.
So that's exactly what I did. Scavenged a block of wood from the neighborhood, checked the car up, and got the engine properly supported. This one's pretty similar to the transmission mount, held by 316mm bolts on the sides. The only difference? A chunky 19mm bolt in the middle, locking it to the engine to absorb all those wild movements. Took out the 316mm bolts first, then went for the big one. But before I could yank the mount out of the engine bay,
I forgot a very important step, which was to take off the windshield filler tube. And now I have way more clearance, I have more access to the engine mount.
Even with all that clearance, it still wasn't enough. Had to keep swapping between my wrench and socket wrench. Gave the engine a little lift to ease the tension on the bolt. Should make it come out easier, in theory. After a lot of persuasion and patience, it finally unbolted.
Devilishly clever.
Now, just had to wiggle it through the maze of AC pipes and find a way out of the engine bay.
Yes, finally. Here we go. This one sits low, as you can see, and this one is nice and steady. Yeah, look at the difference. This is, and this is the new one. I guess we're on to something here. Yeah, this is making me kinda happy.
Now, it was a matter of doing it all in reverse. Wiggled the engine mount back through the AC pipes, swapped between the ratchet and socket wrench, lifted the engine, and, of course, got the official approval from little Kiara the cat. Dropped the engine back into place, tightened up the 3 side bolts, and just like that, upper engine mount replaced.
Okay, so here we go for our first startup after changing the engine mount. All right, you ready? Incredible difference. This is amazing, you have no idea. I remember when I used to start up the car and hold the steering wheel, it was shaking like crazy. Now it's steady, it's perfect. And we're back. Another day with another star. Right now it's the torque mount. This is the torque mount for the engine. And this is what we're gonna be changing today.
Before we do that, quick air intake update. I slapped in a longer, more flexible hose. I know it's not perfect, but at least it reaches the airbox for now. It's gotta be better than before. Anyway, we'll fix it properly later.
Go. Ready to tackle the task. All I have to do is unbolt this bolt here and this one right here. And if I'm not mistaken, this one right here is an 18mm bolt. And I don't know about this one, but maybe it's the same. It looks the same to me.
Before I could get to the engine mount bolt, I had to deal with the upper cover. At first, I thought I'd have to take it off completely, but turns out I could just lift it slightly to get enough clearance. All I needed is to take out this little bolt.
I guess it's a 10mm bolt. Let's see, let's discover.
Yep, right on.
I think now I have kinda more access.
And this little trick did it. Now I can unbolt this chassis side bolt, which was indeed just another 18mm bolt like the other.
The first 18mm bolt is out.
Next, I attacked the engine side bolt. This one with no complications.
And second bolt out. So far, everything seems to be good. I'm kind of surprised. After the pain we had with the main engine one, God, I was expecting the worst, but I'm pretty glad. And, well, there is a lot of movement. There isn't crazy movement, as you can see. Well, kind of actually. So, this one, it moves. This one is dead steady. There is not 1 inch of movement in this one. Nothing at all. I'm glad. Now it's a matter of putting everything backwards, just you can replay the video backwards, it's all the same, but let's do it just for fun,
This definitely was one of the easiest to replace out of the 3 engine mounts. I guess I did good to leave the best for last. It just gave me a good confidence boost. I still will have to replace the gearbox mount in another video, but having already done the job, makes this task stress-free for me now. Engine mounted, bolts tight, and upper cover fixed.
Job done. Job super done. We did it. Perfect. Okay, let's give it a try and see if we can feel any change. Oh my god, this is even more steady. God. I know it's a small change, but I love it. It's even more, look, zero. Zero vibration in the steering wheel. I like it. Smurfette is coming back to life, guys. Now she's more tight, she's more cozy with these new mounts, you know. We still have the gearbox mount to fix. We will sort it out in another video, it's okay. But still, come on, look how much progress we've already made. This is amazing. First time working on a car and already so much progress. I cannot believe this. But this means that today, now we're committed, and which means we're gonna attack the front suspension next. So stick around, guys. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, give it a like, and I'll catch you in the next video. Tschüss! 'Cause I can't move on till I let go.